What happened in the AFC East last year? Well, we had the Jets were surprisingly competitive with Mike White and Zach Wilson, actually beat the Bills last year with Josh Allen. And I've talked to some people this year, and it's interesting when they're like, yeah, the Jets got Aaron Rodgers, but it's like sad because they won't beat the Bills this year. I'm like, hold up. What are you talking about? The Jets played the Bills really close twice last year. The defense gave Josh Allen trouble. And then you have Sauce Gardner, who can take on the challenge that is Stephon Diggs, probably a little bit hungrier at this point in his career. And you beat them with Zach Wilson under center last year. So if we're talking about adding Aaron Rodgers to that team, there's no reason why the Jets can't compete there. And then they also added some pieces in the offseason, traded away Elijah Moore, brought in some of Aaron Rodgers' buddies. They had Adam Lazard come in there.
Randall Cobb too.
Randall Cobb. Did they bring in Bob Tonyan?
No, he went to the Bears. But got some talent there. And then defensively, they have one of the best secondaries, if not the best secondary in football. They have a great D-line. Quentin Williams just got paid. He's excited. And then you look at their weapons. I mean, you went out and got Dalvin Cook. Breece Hall is coming back. He should be ready to go mid-season. And then you got Garrett Wilson, who could very well be a top 5 wide receiver by season's end.
Yeah, and the thing is, too, with the Jets, it's like they're really competitive last year, but really all they were missing was that quarterback, that field general. I believe in Bob Saleh as a head coach. I think people really buy into him. I don't think Aaron Rodgers would want to go there if it wasn't for that. And then he also got Nathaniel Hackett back, who was kind of clowned and shunned out of Denver. But I think that was really just a play for Aaron Rodgers for Denver last year.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, like, nope. Don't want to go to Denver. I want to go to the big city in New York. After playing in Green Bay for basically the majority of my career, and one thing about Aaron Rodgers is we're looking at his Monday night primetime games, and he's won the last 9 of them, thrown about 3 picks, and he has a few games where he's thrown 5 touchdowns. And then Aaron Rodgers always shows out in these big games, unless it's against the Lions or in the playoffs.
Or the 49ers.
Or the 49ers, yeah. But I think for him, being in New York, it's really going to be that primetime atmosphere.
Yeah.
And it's going to revitalize the Jets. So I think the Jets are in a really good position last year, and they positioned themselves to be a dark horse contender with Hard Knocks. People are jumping on the bandwagon. Their one question is still that offensive line. But for me, I'm not too worried about that because Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady can make an offensive line so much better because they know how to change coverages. Aaron Rodgers can say, hey, Garrett Wilson, the blitz is coming. You do a little out route here and then you're gone. And he knows how to manipulate that. Same thing with Tom Brady. If he had like a little less talent on his offensive line, he knows how to manipulate the defense to give himself that extra split second. And then Aaron Rodgers can also get the ball out there.
Yeah, I think the Jets are the best candidate for last place to first place. We've seen it every year. It was the Jags last year. Year before that was the Bengals. This year, it's the Jets, 100%.
Yeah.
Between their quarterback play, between having a defense that could be hopefully the next Legion of Boom with how great their corners are. Go out there and make some noise. I think the Jets are primed to be really great. Their offseason moves we like a lot. They had a good draft back-to-back years. So Jets are on the come up for sure.
Jets are on the come up. Another team that's also on the come up that probably the Jets are going to have to worry about the most is those damn Dolphins.
Yep.
They have Tua on that team. There's always a question about Tua's health, but Tua looked very efficient. He was accurate, knew how to get the ball out, and he played very well last year with the Miami Dolphins. Even entered in some of the MVP conversations. Some people are like, should Tyreek Hill enter into that MVP conversation as well, just with how dominant he is? You add Jalen Waddle to that team. They're in talks to trade for Jonathan Taylor. Have a really strong year last year. Head up to Buffalo with not Sky Moore. Who's the backup quarterback there?
Mike White?
No, for Miami. Skylar Thompson. Yeah, not Sky Moore. Skylar Thompson goes up to Buffalo. They almost beat the Bills with a backup quarterback.
In the playoffs, too.
Yeah, and Josh Allen had some throws where I'm like, what the hell are you doing? This is like some old Ben Roethlisberger buffoonery that Josh Allen was pulling against the Dolphins in that game. And I'm like, if we have even someone like Mike White, who played very well for the Jets as a backup and looked like a competent guy, had a couple 300-yard games, it's like, I think the Dolphins are primed to also make a push for the top of that division because you have arguably the best weapons in Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill. Your running backs, I mean, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle will open it up for them. And then you still have a great coach there. Add Jalen Ramsey. It's looking like he's not going to play until about week 10. You just want to save him for the playoffs, though.
Yeah. Plus, not only that, they upgraded their defensive coordinator, got Vic Fangio.
Yes.
Maybe you've heard of him. Great coordinator. For the defensive side, they got a bunch of talent. They went out and got Bradley Chubb last year.
Mm-hmm.
They got Jalen Ramsey now. They already have a pretty good defensive line overall. And you mentioned all the weapons. They did draft a rookie, Devon Achane, who's looked good in preseason. We'll see how good he is in the running back position. Maybe they go out and get a Jonathan Taylor at some point this season. So the Dolphins, they look like they're going to make some noise. And that leads us to who's been the perennial division winner, the Bills. What happened last year? I'll tell you what happened. They started off really hot. They looked really good. Josh Allen was playing well. First year without Brian Daboll. And then they kind of petered off at the end. They went into the playoffs. They beat the Dolphins, but this is one of those games that shouldn't have been as close as it was. It's not a win that you feel good about. And then on top of that, they go into Cincinnati in a cold December game, and they just absolutely tuck their pants and just completely just go turtle mode and lose that game in a pretty embarrassing fashion.
Yeah, and that was a game where I was like, okay, we weren't. Unfortunately, there was the tragedy that happened with Damar Hamlin. Hopefully, he's the comeback player of the year this year, and has a great season. But we had that game where the Bengals were starting to move the ball up and down the field on them. Joe Burrow, boom, 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 touchdown. And last year, the whole conversation was, oh, Josh Allen is the number 2 guy to Mahomes. Josh Allen is the second best quarterback in the league. And I'm like, wait, why? Joe Burrow just made a Super Bowl with one of the worst offensive lines in the league. Joe Burrow beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, which is something that Josh Allen has not proven that he has the capability to do at this point. Yeah. You're coming off the 13-second touchdown that you gave off the year before that, and Sean McDermott is supposed to be a defensive head coach. What the hell happened there? Yeah. So it's like you have all these situations with the Bills where they're knocking at the door, and they got to the conference championship one year, and it seems like they kind of got slightly worse each year. You lost Chase Edmonds, who's a really good middle linebacker there for you. You're relying on Von Miller, who has some injury issues, and he's not going to. Yeah, and he's pretty old, and he's a legitimate piece that they have to rely on this year. And then you have all of this Stephon Diggs drama in the offseason. I don't know if it's real or if it's not, but coming into the year, there's definitely a topic of conversation. And Josh Allen, without Brian Daboll in the second year, how is he going to bounce back from that? And how motivated are the Bills going to be? So Josh Allen really needs to step up, assert himself so he can be the division winner again this year, because on the road, I don't really believe in the Bills, especially because when you played Cincinnati, you're at home in Buffalo and you look like a dome team. Cincinnati was the team with the run game with Joe Mixon. And then Josh Allen is kind of still the de facto running back for the Bills. They added Damian Harris, but they still didn't add a stud guy that Josh Allen can go, here you go get us 120 yards. Like even Joe Burrow has with Mixon.
Samaje Perine was good with them.
Samaje Perine was also good for them for a stint last year as well. So it's like, for the Bills, this is really a year where you have to prove it, because the Dolphins are now primed and ready to go. The Jets are now primed and ready to go. And no matter how bad the Patriots are going to be, that's still a really good defense, and Bill Belichick knows how to make it tough.
Yeah, they know how to make people play left-handed, unlike pretty much any team in the NFL. The Patriots, as we pivot to the last team in the AFC East, it's like you have a team that on paper looks pretty bad. They went out, they got Jalen Reagor while we were away last week, and they cut their quarterbacks and then brought him to the practice squad, but then also claimed Matt Corral, who was drafted ahead of Bailey Zappi, and we were higher on Bailey Zappi, and then they claimed him after we broke his foot in the preseason and he didn't play at all. Patriots things, just things you deal with as a Patriots fan.
Yeah.
But now the Patriots look poised to finish last for the first time in over 20 years. And just overall, the sentiment just seems like a team that's gone stale and just been pretty run of the mill for the last 4 or 5 years. Definitely been a tough transition from Brady to Mac Jones.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is the year that could be the end for the Patriots as far as what we've seen them the last 20 years. Still think they're going to be competitive as far as giving teams trouble. They're going to be like that team that's not necessarily in playoff contention, but they're going to give them some noise. So
Yeah.
Patriots, what's your overall sentiment on them?
Yeah, my sentiment on the Patriots is I think Mac Jones is fine, and I'm by no means a Mac Jones hater, but every single freaking team with a young quarterback goes out there and spends big money on wide receivers. Jacksonville did it with Christian Kirk, and they went out there and they signed they traded for Calvin Ridley, who was a steal at that point because he was going to be gone for a year. So they were able to be patient with Trevor. Let's get him in the playoffs, get him some reps there and some experience, which was brilliant by Doug Peterson. But the Patriots go out there, they get Juju, and now it looks like they're going to trade Kendrick Bourne. They bring in Mike Gesicki, so they'll have that nice 2 tight end set with Gesicki and Hunter Henry. You have Ramondre Stevenson and Zeke, who I think will be fine running the football, but Mac Jones still doesn't have a dynamic receiver that can break the game open and really make his life easier, where A.J. Brown made Jalen Hurts' life so much easier. Mike Williams and Keenan Allen makes it easier for Herbert, and then even Amari Cooper helped the Browns out a little bit while waiting for
Stephon Diggs too.
Yeah, and Stephon Diggs in Buffalo. So it's like this is still a team that won't go out there and get their quarterback a number 1, which is really what you need to thrive in this league. And the Patriots really aren't going to be getting any of those easy points this